Karibu mpenzi mtazamaji wa Smart 24 TV, na leo kabisa tunaanza na story ya kwanza ambayo ni muhimu sana. Ni habari special ambayo inafanya na itatusaidia mashirika yetu na sekta mbalimbali hapa nchini Uganda kuweza kufanya vizuri. Hii ni baada ya ma-experts na wataalam katika ngazi mbalimbali kuiomba serikali kuweza kuwapatia pesa ambazo zinaweza zikasaidia serikali hizo na sekta mbalimbali ili kuweza kuinua uchumi wa nchi hii Uganda. Ni mimi Bahati Ali na tukupe ripoti zaidi katika story hiyo.
According to Section 3 of the Access to Information Act, every citizen is supposed to access information easily and in a timely manner. The Act provides for a maximum of 21 days within which a citizen's information request is responded to. Delayed release of information leads to the loss of usability of the information, especially for journalistic work, as well as the enforcement of human rights and freedoms. Addressing journalists at Uganda Media Center, Robert Sendugwa, the Executive Director of Africa Freedom of Information Center, says that they established that systems for implementing the law were not available, calling upon the Ministry of ICT to give support to ministries, departments and agencies to implement the act.
We also established that systems for implementing this law were not in place. And this is why we are calling upon the Minister of National Guidance, ICT and National Guidance to prioritize giving support to MDAs so that they are able to implement this act and ensure that citizens can access the information these agencies have. We also call upon the African Union, UNESCO, the United Nations Office, the United Nations, the UN Human Rights, to support the government of Uganda and other African governments to adopt and effectively implement respective national access to information laws. We call upon civil society organizations to mainstream access to information in their respective strategies and plans, because access to information is about everything, whether it is about health, education, or women's rights. Information is at the center.
We called on Ugandan Parliament to allocate funds to ministries, departments and agencies to facilitate the implementation of Access to Information Act.
Parliament also should allocate sufficient budget to every institution, ministries, departments and agencies to facilitate the implementation of the Access to Information Act. And Parliament should also urgently amend the Access to Information Act and bring it in line with the model law on access to information for African Union member states to include relevant private bodies within the scope of disclosure, reduce statutory timelines within which agencies must respond to information requests they receive, and strengthen the oversight for the implementation of the Access to Information Act through an establishment of an independent and well-resourced Information Commission.
The Honorable Minister of State for ICT, Godfrey Baluku Kabyanga, encouraged all public institutions to avail information of fundamental interest to citizens who are seeking for trust and clarity in the times of crisis.
We encourage all public institutions to continue displaying leadership by proactively disclosing information of fundamental interest to citizens who are looking for trust and reassurance and clarity in the times of crisis.
Let me begin by expressing our solidarity with all stakeholders and renewing our commitment to work with the government, development partners, civil society and media organisations towards a safe and secure working environment for journalists. We commend the Ministry of ICT and National Guidance, UNESCO, the Africa Freedom of Information Centre and Twawezi East Africa for the partnership with our office for organising this launch on the theme of the right to know, building back better.
Baluku, who launched the commemoration of International Day for Universal Access to Information, says a government is considering reopening Facebook. The freezing of Facebook by a government in Uganda has negatively impacted business conducted online.
The Minister has told you that we are negotiating, and negotiations are still going on. But you should also know that we are a sovereign state. There is no social media network or any other media network that can hold us at what? At ransom. We must put our position very clear as a sovereign state that this is what we want and this is what we don't want. But negotiations are going on with Facebook, and very soon you will enjoy those services. Very soon. I promise that.
It is an obligation of the state to sensitize its citizens on the right to information. However, Uganda's citizens, including information officers and various officials in some government ministries, departments and agencies, remain ignorant about the existence of the law on access to information. Other Ugandans are even being asked to pay money for them to access information.
I don't know yet. I don't know whether my colleagues here know, but there is little money you're supposed to pay for some information. It's not really a lot. But I think the issue is not the money that you pay. But I think the issue is how fast you get the what? The information. It may not be the money, because some of it is 5,000, something like that. I think one current center which is around 20,000. But how fast do you get the information? And we are handling that as a ministry. We are coming up with a communication strategy, which I think will be completed within a month, where we are bringing together all ministries and agencies so that we have some single line of communication, so that when you need information, if you can't get it from any agency, you come to our ministry and we shall get that information.
The law says that information should not be charged. There should be no access fee. It should be free of charge. It says that, however, citizens can pay for processing fees, e.g. photocopying. So access itself is free. But for example, if you want, say, maybe, let's say, Register of Electoral Commission, which is in millions of pages, the cost would be very high, maybe for that agency to afford, if you wanted it in hard copies. So they say in that case, they can pay photocopying fees or bring a flash and then the agency gives. But the practice is different. For example, I have on my desk a response from National Medical Stores where we're asked to pay 10 million shillings. This is not in accordance with the law. I also read in the newspapers last year where someone was asking for documents, academic qualifications of someone from the Electoral Commission, and I think they asked for 300,000 shillings. So that is against the spirit of the law, and I think citizens need dialogue with the government on this regard so that the law is implemented in line with the spirit of the law.
That is the dialogue we shall be having with you and others. So you let us keep dialoguing. Probably by the end of 2 weeks, we shall come out with resolutions that we can sell to other entities.
Information can be generally described as facts, a collection of factual details about a specific subject. Access to information in this context is the ability to access information which is under the control of the government institution. Access to information is a fundamental human right recognized by international human rights instruments, including the Article 9 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which provides that. Pedson Mumbere, Smart 24 TV.
Asante sana kwa habari hiyo Pedson, na kusisitiza tu waziri ameitaka serikali iweze kuangalia vizuri hii mpango wa kulipia internet ili kwa sababu mawasiliano na kupata ujumbe wowote na habari yoyote ni kati na jambo kubwa kabisa, ni kati ya haki za binadamu na linatakiwa pia kuzingatiwa vizuri. Sasa tupate habari nyingine. Tunaona kwamba utalii wa Lake Victoria unapamba moto na serikali pia kupitia Wizara ya Utalii, wanyamapori na mambo ya kale imejipanga kufungua mzunguko wa utalii kando kando ya Lake Victoria ili kuweza kusaidia watu pia na kuongeza utalii ili kuweza kuinua uchumi wa nchi. Hii pia itasaidia watu wanaoishi katika maisha ya kimaskini zaidi, hao walioizunguka Ziwa Victoria, na pia kusaidia miundombinu ya nchi hii na pia kusaidia uchumi kupanda juu zaidi ili kuweza kuongeza pato la taifa hili na kutoka katika hali ya kiumaskini ambayo pia imechangiwa sana na gonjwa hili la corona nchini Uganda na duniani kote. Tupate habari.
In the process of reshaping wildlife narration, the manager of Education and Information Department at the Uganda Wildlife Education Center, David Musingo, said that the environment through the Ministry of Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities is set to open Lake Victoria Tourism Circuit project as a way of enhancing the industry. This will improve the wildlife and other tourist activities along Lake Victoria, which is one of the core bridge of raising Ugandan flag as the best tourism destination of the world. UWEC secured funds from the World Bank to push the project.
And UWEC, working with the Ministry of Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities and other stakeholders, we are opening Lake Victoria through what we call Lake Victoria Tourism Circuit. What we are doing first is developing the master plan. We have got funding from the World Bank through what we call SEDEP, additional funding, and we are going to involve some of you in developing the master plan. Initially, we thought it's only around Entebbe, but we have expanded it to other regions, up to Kalangala, up to Vuma, up to Jinja. Once we have the master plan for Lake Victoria, it will attract in even private sector.
The Lake Victoria Tourism Circuit project is worth 706 million and will kick off in 6 months after the finalization of the major master plan. The master plan will address national conservation education strategy for Uganda and ecotourism projects.
The defining factor in this case is the master plan. The master plan, it has a lot of details. One of the area which is important is identifying stakeholders and their roles. So if you don't have a master plan, people will take advantage. You'll have military coming in, occupying the space of everybody. So a master plan stipulates the roles, the activities to be done, innovations. So we need a master plan. And this master plan will bring different stakeholders on board to articulate issues, come up with solutions, how we can make Entebbe the best tourism destination, and developing products and services so that we can attract and attract tourism and spur development.
According to Education and Information Department Manager David Musingo, UWEC, is formerly known as Entebbe Zoo, is also about to acquire a luxurious art boat that has a capacity of 50 passengers with a speed of about 40 knots.
So because of these are very important, you can see as a
UWEC is in a bid to work with various institutions and train the community in order to revise the negative trends of spoiling the wetland, e.g. Makanaga, and to reshape the ecotourism project's approach. The ecotourism development areas such as Kalangala, Buvuma and Jinja, among others, are also given much consideration in the development process. The projects are also targeted to be the turn point of eliminating poverty in developing the community along Lake Victoria. This will also attract investors, organizations and other players to unlock tourism activities along Lake Victoria.
To promote conservation of wildlife when the environment is hostile, when people are living in abject poverty, it is very, very, very hard. The best thing is empowering them, having what we call enterprises that are ecologically friendly, doing what we call homestays around the community, developing other treasures like the local cuisines, crafts, even farming. If you have farming like beekeeping, I know who is trying in some of these communities so that people can earn what? An income. Tour guiding, you train local people to appreciate tourism so that the local people are engaged. You expose them, you take them to IKEA, even outside. Like we have exchange program. If it was not COVID, we can have exchange programs. We have MOUs with colleagues in Kenya. We have MOUs with colleagues in South Africa. Some of these people can be identified so that they go to those countries and come back and innovate because they know their environment better. So that for you, you guide them. Then directly depending on what? The parks. Definitely, they will be in conflict with wildlife. If you are living in abject poverty, that is definite. They will always be in conflict.
Story compiled by Bahati Ali.
Ripoti hiyo inalenga kutuwezesha kujua kwamba utalii katika nchi ya Uganda na mataifa mengine yaliathirika sana, lakini Uganda inajikimu vizuri sana kuweza kuona kwamba utalii unarudi kwa kasi sana, na hivyo ndio maana harakati za kufanya Lake Victoria kuweza kupanuka zaidi kiutalii inaenda kwa kasi sana, na mpango muhimu wa kusaidia shughuli hiyo pia unaendelea vizuri. Na kwa taarifa tu, Lake Victoria inanunua boti ya ambayo inaweza ikasaidia na inaweza ikabeba watu 50 na ya kasi zaidi na ya kifahari. Hiyo pia itasaidia utalii na shughuli zingine zote zinazozunguka ziwa hilo kufanya vizuri sana. Na tuende kwa habari nyingine, tunaona kwamba LinkedIn na Microsoft kuungana kibiashara ili kuweza kufanya na kupambanua kazi za kibiashara vizuri. Hii itasaidia na hivyo wafanyabiashara wataweza kujikimu vizuri na kusaidiwa pia katika mchakato mzima wa kuweza kukuza uchumi. LinkedIn na Microsoft wamekuwa na uhusiano mzuri sana wa kibiashara ambao pia unaweza ukasaidia sio tu Uganda na mataifa mengine, na hii inaweza ikainua uchumi wa kibiashara katika mataifa yote, na tupate ripoti ya habari hiyo.
Microsoft and LinkedIn have launched several new features and product innovation to help companies transition to the hybrid of work, working virtually and in the offices. As organizations across the globe navigate the challenges and opportunities of hybrid work, technology is seen as the greatest enabler. The two organizations have thus come together to help their employees and their customers as they transform for hybrid work and reimagine everything from meeting that transact space and time to digital employee experience that everyone can access from anywhere. Stea Nadella, the Microsoft CEO, in a statement said that right now every leader is grappling with how to have effective hybrid meeting, often with limited equipment and resources. Hybrid meetings are an entirely new kind of meeting and require rethinking on how to approach and conduct them to ensure that they are putting every attendee on equal footing no matter where they are seated.
Na habari inayokamilisha leo habari zetu kamili za kutoka hapa Smart 24 TV ni kwamba jukumu la mfumo wa kitaifa ambao linatakiwa kusaidia fintech na malipo ya kiteknolojia technical au malipo ya kiteknolojia ambayo yanafuata mfumo mzima wa kufanya malipo katika mitandao tofauti tofauti, imetoa lalamiko lao juu ya kwamba linahitaji sera ambayo iliwekwa mwaka 2020 kuzingatiwa sana na zaidi, kwa sababu tunatoka katika mfumo wa kidigitali na hadi mfumo wa kianalogia hadi mfumo wa kidigitali ambao unapaswa kuzingatiwa na kupewa sera muhimu ambazo zitaweza kusaidia fintech na watu wanaofanya electronic commerce kuweza kufanya biashara zao vizuri bila matatizo yoyote. Malalamiko hayo yanaweza kufanya watu wasiweze kujikita au kujitoa katika mfumo wa muda mrefu na kwenda kwenye mfumo mpya ambao dunia nzima unaitumia. Hivyo malalamiko hayo yanalenga kuomba usaidizi ili kufanya shughuli zote za kufanya biashara katika electronic commerce ziweze kufanya vizuri. Tupate ripoti ambayo itatukamilishia habari yetu hii kwa siku ya leo.
A National Payment System Act is a set of systems policies and infrastructures that enable consumers, businesses and other entities to effect financial transactions, including making payments to one another and using their accounts and payment instruments issued by financial institutions. The essence of a payment system is that it uses cash substitutes, checks or electronic messages to create the debits and credits that transfer value. According to Council Chizito Lois, the Act was put in place to mainly regulate the national payment systems with mobile money inclusive.
Essentially, Parliament passed and the President assented to the National Payment Systems Act in September last year, and it's now in operation. And the regulations Bank of Uganda made to enable that law were subsequently made and gazetted this year around 4th March. Now, that law regulates mobile money. It provides for the governance framework, the corporate governance, the financials, how to manage, generally management and then consumer protection to some extent. Then it also generally regulates mobile money, but not only mobile money. Like you hear the law, national payment systems. Mobile money is a payment system, but there are very many others. There are people in the fintech business who also want to transfer money from one person to another. So that law also regulates them. Now, basically, that's what I can say the law does, why it was made. Yeah, it was made, of course, to create some kind of order in the industry in terms of governance, consumer protection, basically. So anyone who is a mobile money user should know his rights.
A payments bank could be a bank operating on a small scale without involving the issuers of credit, but carrying out most bank-like operations and transactions. They operate current and savings accounts, where interest could be paid and can also issue ATM or debt cards to their customers. In markets like India, where they have started several payment banks like Airtel and Fino, beginning was not smooth, but certainly stability was achieved. In the Ugandan perspective, the Payment Systems Act on mobile money clears it that once one's account is inactive for 9 months, then it will be automatically rendered redundant, and this can even lead for a 7-year stint if one is to recover his account or the money on it. But in case one is in such a situation, these are some of the things that need to be done.
Actually, under this law, of course, in 9 months without any transaction renders your mobile money account redundant, dormant. And the mobile money service provider or the company is supposed to remit that money to the central bank. Under those circumstances, if your money has been remitted to the central bank and they have been giving you, the company like Airtel, Commerce has been giving you all the notifications you require, you're supposed to write to them as the company first. If you can retrieve it from them. If you cannot retrieve it from them, then you write to the central bank requesting for the monies, to have access to the monies, or to the monies to be given back to you, or basically that's what you can do. There's no much science about it. All you have to do is just go to the central bank if your money has been remitted there, write, claim it. In case you have any technicalities, then you can institute a suit in court, get the court order to make them do what they're supposed to do. But before you even go to court, first exhaust the remedy of, if they're supposed to give you the money at the central bank, write a simple letter and wait. Then they will tell you what to do, and it will take around a week.
With the National Payment System Act 2020 in place in Uganda, there is definitely no turning back, as the Act classifies payment systems into systems operated by the central bank, payment services provided by commercial banks, and private sector payment systems. The National Payment System entails a framework of institutions, instruments, procedures, and technology used to facilitate the circulation of money within the country and internationally. The ability to make payments easily and safely is important in ensuring the smooth and timely flow of goods and services throughout the economy. Payments banks could come into being thanks to the central bank's resolute push to ensure that the banking sector delivers a comprehensive set to finance services to the poor and the unbanked. With full-service banks clearly finding it uneconomical to deliver to low-income and rural Uganda by closing off some of their upcountry branches, a more appropriate solution would be to conceptualize and deliver new models and a differentiated banking system to sustain the banking operations in position to serve the hard-to-reach population more efficiently and effectively. But as commercial banks come into this picture, be quick to understand the documents he signs before opening up an account, more so in regards to mobile banking.
Not when you're opening up an account, mobile money, not a mobile account, but anyway, any account in this country, whether it's the bank or but I'll pay particular emphasis on bank accounts. There are documents you have to read there is a key document called the key facts document. It lays out the charges, even the fees they want to hide from you. Now, if the charge has been in that key facts document and you didn't know about it, and for some extent they're now telling you, hey, for you to actually check your balance on internet, mobile banking or this bank, you're going to be charged some amount of money. There you can't just go and say they have stolen from you, because that's your negligence. But on the other hand, if the fact is not in any of those documents you read and they're charging you for it, first you can go to the central bank. But there's no precedent of you going to the central bank and they actually help you. Those guys in charge of central bank supervision, they'll just keep their silence and let you hassle it out. Or even you can go to court. You can go to court and breach of contract. But it also depends on the amount of money. But the good thing about bank-related monies is that they cannot be relegated to something called small claims. Some things are below 800,000 shillings. So you can go to court, get an order, and for them to do what they're supposed to do. What you're supposed to do before you even take the legalese before you open up the account for any bank. Now we have mobile money, and now we're going to even have more payment systems in the future. But particularly banks, they have many accounts. Some have savings deposit, others have fixed deposit, others have current account. So you have to understand read the key facts document. It will relate or relay all the kind of details you need to know. But of course, as a matter of practice and practicality, is that the commercial banks, they have very many hidden charges. That one you should know. And they always take advantage. They're in a business, so they always take advantage of your ignorance. So what you should do as a consumer, have some due diligence. Exercise some precaution in the accounts you're going to open. Read the key facts document, and I'll emphasize, read the key facts document. Know the things that they expect you not to know, and you are prepared. So in the event that they take you on something they claim is in the key fact, you can tell them, no, it's not there, therefore I'm taking you to court. Well, I'm going to go to the central bank supervisory directorate to supervise these commercial banks. But of course, the precedent is those guys also don't help so much. So you may end up going to court. But even before you go to court, you should always make sure that you understand the terms, conditions, hidden fees, the transaction cost of any account. Don't be shocked once a bank wakes up one day and tells you, we are charging you this amount to access your financial statement or your bank statement. Don't be shocked. Only just be prepared. Don't wait for things to get out of hand and then you go to social media and you take to social media all your frustrations, because that might not help much. So, in terms of consumer protection, in this world, you're on your own. Don't ever think that when you make a mistake, you're going to go to the central bank and they're going to help you. That is not exactly how things work. Yeah, they might help you, but they will help you when maybe something has been brought out of proportion so much. Maybe it has got unprecedented media attention. If it has not got the media attention it deserves, you will, trust me, you will suffer on your own. So what you should do is, if you don't want banks to actually steal from you or exploit you or take advantage of your ignorance, read those documents. And if you don't understand them and you know someone maybe who's a lawyer or who's a financial analyst or something, go to him, tell him, man, I'm going to give you 50,000 shillings, help me as a long-term friend. If you don't have any person, go to a professional. That's why they exist. But in this economy, of course, we don't trust professionals. We just want to do things on our own. Then when we crash, we complain on social.
Since the payment banks are untested model in Uganda, the intent should focus purely on payments and deposits, targeting the bottom of the pyramid and undeserved segments. As the masses wait to enjoy the competition that will come with the payment banks, the players in the financial industry will have to spin operations to remain relevant and maintain or grow their market share. Joram Paul Sonko, Smart 24.
Asante sana Joe Paul Sonko kwa kukamilisha habari hii, lakini tu kwa kuongezea ni kwamba National System Act ya 2020 imeombwa, wataalamu wameomba irudiwe vizuri ili kuweza kusaidia nyanja zote za kulipa pesa ama kupokea pia katika system zote za kimtandao na pia za kawaida, kwa sababu kifungu hicho kinaonekana kama kimelemea sana kwa watu wanaofanya mobile money au wanaopeleka pesa zao kutumia simu, na hivyo kuacha sehemu zingine ambazo wanafanya malipo kutumia electronic commerce na vitu vingine sana vya kiteknolojia zaidi. Na sasa inaombwa kiweze kurudia ili kufanya sekta zote za kulipaji na upokeaji pesa uzingatiwe vizuri na kuonekana kwamba hakuna tatizo lolote katika sehemu zote nyingine, kwa sababu tunatoka katika kianalogia kwenda kidigitalia, ambapo itatuhitaji sasa na kutulazimu watu wote wanaofanya kazi, wanaofanya biashara au wanaotarajia kutuma na kupokea pesa mtandaoni waweze pia kuzingatia na masharti mengine ili kutokuweza kupoteza pesa zao, au pia wafanya biashara kunufaika na system mpya ambayo inakuja ama ineshaanza kuendelea hapa duniani, nchini na duniani kote. Na hapo ndio tumefikia mwisho wa habari kwa lugha ya Kiswahili, ama inaitwa Habari Kamili, kutoka hapa Smart 24 TV direct kutoka studio zetu za Naguru Commercial Road. Jiunge nasi na usitoke, endelea kutazama vipindi vyetu vijavyo ama vinavyowekwa sasa hivi, na pia tufuatilie zaidi katika mitandao yetu @Smart 24 TV katika Twitter na Facebook na pia YouTube. Endelea kututazama na tupo hapa kukuletea habari zote za kimataifa na kibiashara pia, ambazo zinalenga kukuza uchumi na pia kufanya mataifa yote yaweze kuendelea katika kujikwamua kutoka katika umaskini na kuendelea katika utajiri. Asante sana, endelea kuwa nasi.